Welcome to our continuation of the Band of Brothers interviews. I'd like to introduce everybody to Mr. Rick Warden, live in the studio. How you doing, sir?
I'm very, very well. It's nice to be here.
How did you get cast for Harry? Did you read for a whole bunch of things? Did you come in and they just went, oh, wow, you look just like Harry, we're going to put you there? Or how did that work out for you?
Much more the latter than the former with me. I came to it pretty late, I think, the casting. I mean, we started the boot camp, as I remember, last week or so of March 2000, and I went in for my casting, I think, early February, the first one. I was pretty reticent about it, I'll be absolutely honest, at first, because I'd done some soldiering on film before, and so I'd had a taste of, the ultra-violence that, I'd have to sort of connect with. But I'm a history graduate, so anything historical, in fact, history has tended to follow me around, I'll be honest. I thought I'd left it behind when I finished my degree, but no. I keep getting asked to do historical things, so Band of Brothers came up, this idea, and I don't remember that I had any specific idea about Harry until I actually landed the part, but I did get the sides, and I went in to meet Meg Lieberman in London. My American, I've always been, I guess I've watched too many movies, but my American I'm reasonably confident with, and that went well. And then within 2 weeks, I think we were then sent for a little bit of voice coaching stuff, but within 2 weeks I was in a room with Tom Hanks, a very long bearded Tom Hanks,
right,
in the middle of Castaway, who was, well, just an extraordinary gentleman. And you walk into a room where he's very well aware as an actor and as a double Oscar winner, how nervous us young guys are, and he knows he's in another country where we've got an accent to tie down as well. And he pretty much said in the audition, as soon as we walked into this big hotel suite, which was incidentally, there were 4 or 5 guys and just us, and they had someone to read with us, But he said, we've made this just about as uncomfortable as it's possible to be. Yeah, you got to imagine this is the battlefield, the Second World War, etc. He basically made jokes straight away, and I did the read, 3 or 4 scenes for Harry, and it wasn't until I think a couple of days later, it was very quick. Within a couple of days, my agent called me while I was on the motorway around London, and said, everybody says yes, but Spielberg's looking at the tape right now, and there's nothing like that to wake you up on the motorway.
That's a clincher, isn't it?
Did you
Sphincter
rethink
clincher.
every second of what you did?
I'd been doing that anyway, but that brought it into pretty sharp focus. And literally, the phone went down, and within 5 minutes, my agent ran back up and said, Spielberg says yes. And that was a big moment. And it was only then that I got the sort of photo pack, and I realised, well, I'm a dead ringer for Harry. That was a no-brainer. I got a photo of him and Dick Winters together, and I thought, oh, right, I get it. So I just, he's probably about my height, similar complexion.
Yeah.
And you can bet that if you rocked in the audition, but you were nothing like your guy, I think you'd have had a tough time.
Yeah,
they might have used you someplace else, but
probably
in terms of those 30 strong guys who did the boot camp, we were chosen for good reason, I think.
Let's talk about boot camp.
Oh dear.
Now, were you one of the guys that popped into boot camp spry, ready to go, well worked out, in buff and ready, and just...
You know me well. It's only been a day, but it's obvious to you that I'm in... No, I don't want to get myself in too much trouble. I hated boot camp. There you go. I've said it. I'm in trouble already. All due respect to the staff and the guys who trained us up, but I was sitting with my buddies, chilling a couple of weeks before boot camp, and one of them said, well, you'll be fine, Rick, as long as it's not Dale Dye taking it. I went, it is Dale Dye taking it. Who do you know about Dale Dye? And he literally just said, whoa, you're in for some fun. And it was, how can you enjoy, some of the Band of Brothers guys, some of my favourite friends on it say it was the time of their lives. Honestly, I tried to escape.
Nice.
If Jimmy Matteo hadn't stopped me, I was out of there, man. He was on guard duty. I was out of there. I was going to hit the M3. I'd be back home in 2 hours and in my comfy bed. How can you really enjoy, going to Borstal for 11 days, being
I'm with you.
shouted at?
I understand.
You not only got civilians, you've got actors of all people, trying to soldier it up. And Tom Hanks was there at the beginning on the first day of boot camp, as was Steven Spielberg actually, and they just looked sorry for us in advance. I don't remember them looking happy that day at all. They just looked really kind of...
It's like, ooh,
yeah,
you're gonna pay for all that.
We did 5 days and we kind of mutinied, but you guys have got 11. I think it was 10 days, 10 nights, 11 days, something like that. And the structure of it, I mean, I've often thought, honestly, there's a book in boot camp. I'd love to flip and write about my experience on boot camp, because it's designed to break. It had extraordinary things, you know. Tom said on that day, you'll never do a rehearsal process like this ever again. And when somebody of his caliber says something like that, you tend to shut up and listen. He said, you'll never do anything like this again that's this detailed, that takes you this far into this mindset. And I'm loath to use the word method, because I don't know if it's that appropriate for it, but there was a grand scheme at work there. But one of the grand schemes was over a 5-day period to break you, pretty much, to break
right.
one by one. And it didn't matter. Some of the guys that were the more ripped guys, you know, Donnie was in great shape. I'm sure he had a rough time too. Everyone I know had actually maybe Rick Gomez, he was seriously ripped. Maybe he didn't have that rad. Maybe he waltzed through it, actually. I remember him laughing on the first day and still laughing by the end. I'd stopped laughing, man. I had a sense of humour failure by about day 5. And seriously, Jimmy, Maddeo caught me blubbing on the Friday. I was pretty upset.
Yeah?
Yeah. Not ready to quit, but I was 5 o'clock a.m., 5 kilometres, you know, whatever it was, 3 to 5 miles every morning before it was light, and then just, as you say, being shouted at all day. It's essentially sleep deprivation.
Now,
you get to a stage where you just...
Did you put Neil and Mike up front? Because that's the way we ran in football all the time. When we had to do all the miles in football, you put the slow guys up front.
You mean Neil McDonough?
Behind him. Yeah.
He's not slow, man. You don't need to put him up front. He goes up front.
Right.
That guy lives up front.
All right. Well, now, okay, that makes sense. Who would have been the slower moving?
Oh man, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Well, I'm just saying that's how we did it, because
I'm sure they know they were slow,
right?
Right? They knew they were slow.
All due respect, Dexter, I carried you around one of those runs, man. You didn't know that.